Hey everybody, what's going on? Jeff Rager, another episode of The Daily Ticket. It's a Tuesday, it's the 9th, it's April, it's beautiful outside, it's 2024. I will always say it's beautiful outside if it is because I love it. I want to cherish it. And we're just starting the summer, so it's a beautiful thing. Here's the deal. I'm doing this podcast early on a Tuesday. It's 10:27. So I don't know if the Tigers had won, and I don't know if the Pittsburgh Penguins win either. By the time you watch or listen, as always, you'll know and you'll be able to make your own determinations. But the reason I'm doing this podcast early, and I know according to some, this is a no-no. I'm not supposed to tell you about my personal life. There was the one commenter that said, just get the sports, asshole. I just want to hear about the Tigers. I don't give a damn about your life. Called me the center of attention. That comment still sticks with me. And it's probably still true. But I got to tell you this, not to pat my own back here. However, it's 10:28. We're hours away from the eclipse. And I don't know what you're doing for the eclipse. Please let me know. What did you do? Did you enjoy it? Was it unique in any way? Maybe you didn't care. Maybe you didn't watch. Maybe you had other things going on. Let me know what you did for the eclipse if you'd be so kind in the comment section. But here's my plan. So my daughter, you've met her on the podcast. She's 8. Her name's Olive. She's petrified of the eclipse. So she started the long game. I mean, weeks ago. She asked if she had to go to school. She asked if she could stay home from school. She even faked sick to stay home from school. And then I talked to her principal, and I found out that they're not even going to be outside during the eclipse. In her school, she has gym class. The gym teacher is not taking them outside. I don't want her to miss the eclipse. I don't think the eclipse is the coolest thing ever, but I do think it's educational. I do think it's interesting. I also want to prove to her there's nothing to be afraid of. Like she's worried about looking at the eclipse and going blind, but we all know that you don't look at the sun straight on, and you're not going to look at the eclipse straight on. And we have the cool glasses. Here, hold on a second. Oh, you cannot see anything through these things. Holy cow. Anyway, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I just put the eclipse glasses on. Well, there's no way you'll go blind wearing these things. You can't see anything. Anyway, I'll sell these to you if you don't have them. I'll only charge you triple, although the eclipse is over. Get them for the eclipse in 20 years, I guess. Anywho, so I came up with this great idea because she wasn't going to be outside. I wanted her to witness the eclipse. I wanted her to realize it was safe. I wanted her to not miss it. I don't want her to get FOMO. So I came up with this great idea. I decided to take my daughter out of school early. 1 o'clock. I made a tee time at 2:45 on a 9-hole golf course that we go to around here. So we're going to be golfing and watching the eclipse. The way I see it, by the time we get to the 4th hole, the eclipse will be about in full effect, I would assume. So we can look up at the eclipse and then we can continue golfing. Like, what a memorable day, right? I'm not just telling you this because I want you to think I'm a wonderful dad, but it won't be the worst thing in the world if you think I'm a wonderful dad. That's a memorable day. Then after that, my daughter, we're Jewish people. I don't practice, but I am Jewish. My daughter has always wanted to try matzo ball soup. So we're going to take her out of school early. We're going to hit the links. We're going to watch the eclipse with these cool glasses. And then we're going to go to a deli and eat some matzo ball soup with my mom and my brother. And then we're going to go home, watch Tigers, and then the national championship game. UConn and Purdue. I mean, this is a great day. And again, I know I'm talking to you as it's right now, like today, even though I know this podcast was yesterday, but you get the drift, right? So yeah, it's 10:32 currently on a Monday. I'm just kind of telling you what I did, but by the time you see it, it will have already been done. So on tomorrow's episode, I'll give you an update if you care. Or you can comment like the one commenter commented saying, I don't give a damn about your personal life. Stick to sports, jerk. You could do that too if you want to do that. I got no issue with that. But I'm very excited about this fun day. So I don't know if the Tigers will have cured their offensive woes. And I don't know if Pittsburgh, the Penguins, will have beat the Maple Leafs. If they do, they're 1 point ahead of the Wings. If they don't, then the Wings still have that playoff spot. We'll get to that momentarily. But I do want to talk about Javi Baez because this needs to be discussed. Javi Baez is awful. I think we know this. For the season, he's hitting 154. He's got 2 RBI. He has an OPS of 302. Now, mind you, a league average OPS is in the 700s. A really good OPS is in the 800s. Javi last year had a bottom 3 OPS. He was under 600, I believe, or just around 600. He's at 302. So for all the people like myself that thought this could be a breakout season for Baez, well, maybe not. They're eventually going to have to figure out what to do. They might have to buy him out, give him a huge sum of money, 98 mil to be exact, to say, goodbye, Javi. Your roster spot is way too important for you to be there. I don't think we've come to that yet. But an interesting thing has happened. Baez in 9 games has been benched twice. And spare me the, well, AJ is just using his flexibility. No, you pay Baez $20 million a season. He's your starting shortstop. He's already been benched twice. Doesn't that tell you that the leash is getting a little shorter? They got to be so frustrated with Baez. All the work they put into this guy, and he's still not paying off. All the money that they pay to this guy, and he still goes up to the plate and whiffs uncontrollably. Whether it's leaving the zone, which frustrates the hell out of you when you really watch these strike zone pictures, right? Every Baez at bat, you go look on Twitter after the at bat, usually he strikes out, and he's always just chasing a ball, usually a slider, way outside the zone. But that's not even all of it. When he does make contact, he doesn't make hard contact. So he's not making hard contact. He's undisciplined in the batter's box. And on Saturday, I really do think it came to a head. So the Tigers are taking on the A's on Saturday. Tigers lost 4-0. Over the weekend, they got outscored by the A's 11-1. 2 pitchers for Oakland that stink shut down the Tigers' offense. So it's not just Javi's fault. We probably should say that. However, Javi Baez in the 8th inning came up to the plate. Now, before I tell you the story, I must say I'm very proud of myself. I looked on the MGM betting app before the game, and I saw something very interesting. Javier Baez against Paul Blackburn, who was the starter for the Oakland A's, who has a career 5 ERA. Javi was a plus 145 to go hitless, meaning the people in Vegas thought for sure Javi was going to get a hit. So I thought to myself, I know Javi better than they know Javi. So I bet a lot of money for me, a lot of money from me for Javi to go hitless. And of course, he went 0 for 3. But it really came to a head in the 8th inning. It's a 4-0 game. Baez is in there against a dude named Mason Miller. And it was one of the worst at-bats you're ever going to see. Now, granted, Mason Miller throws really hard. Javi was fed a bunch of fastballs anywhere from 100 to 102 miles per hour. He ended up striking out looking, right? And again, Mason Miller, good pitcher. But it's such a bad at-bat in a day of awful at-bats. But this one stuck out because as Javi walked back to the dugout, all you heard, and I was watching on TV, so it was loud enough to hear through TV, was boo! The fans were booing the hell out of Javi Baez. Absolutely giving it to him. Now, granted, they lost 4-0. Javi wasn't the reason you lost. However, Javi's been a complete and utter disaster since signing with the Tigers. Looks unmotivated most of the time, looks unfocused most of the time. The Tigers did their best in the offseason. They went to Puerto Rico. AJ Hinch went to Puerto Rico trying to fix this guy or make this guy playable. And again, already benched twice in 9 games. So Baez was booed. Tigers end up losing. I went on the radio after the game, and I asked the question, is it good fan behavior to boo your own? Now, before you answer it to yourself, let me explain something very quickly. Javi Baez On opening day of the baseball season, a couple Thursdays ago in Chicago, he was responsible for the only run of that game. Tigers won that game 1-0. So it's a good game by Baez. Baez by the Chicago fans because, of course, he played for the Cubs and won a World Series with the Cubbies, and the White Sox fans hate him and the Cubs. They booed the shit out of him. And Javi, after the game, said, I like being booed. It motivates me, gets me focused. I like being the enemy. I like being the villain. So Jim Costa, that works at 97, won the ticket. He's on the morning show with Costa and Jansen. I thought he came up with a great idea. Tiger fans should boo Javi to motivate him before he comes up to the plate. When he's announced walking up to the dish, boo his ass. See if it works. See if it motivates him. Now, they haven't done that just yet, but they booed him afterwards. So I went on the radio after the game and I said, is it good fan behavior to boo Javi Baez? And you would not believe how many people called up or texted, said, good fans don't boo their own players. Which I said, that's bullshit. Yes, they do. It's your right as a fan. It's a God-given right. As long as you're keeping it classy. You're not going over the line. You're not saying anything personal about him or his family. As long as you keep it clean, there's nothing wrong with booing somebody to show that you're frustrated with that person. Dude's making $20 million a year, and he stinks. And you pay your hard-earned money to go to the ballpark on a Saturday, a gorgeous day in downtown Detroit, and you see a guy that doesn't look like he's giving effort. You see a guy that's not motivated, not focused. So of course you boo. But there were a lot of people that called up and said, oh no, you're making it tougher for him. How do you think he feels? He already knows he's struggling. If you boo him, it just makes it worse. He needs to go to the plate with a positive mindset. Now, first of all, you're not booing him, you should, but you're not booing him when he walks up to the dish. You're booing him after he strikes out again, or you're booing him after he doesn't come through in a big-time situation. Not to mention, I don't buy any of that shit, okay? You talk to any Major League Baseball player, really any athlete at all. You ask them, hey, what'd you think of them booing you? Hey, what'd you think of the crowd in the eighth inning? Hey, what'd you think of the atmosphere? The majority of people, athletes, unless the atmosphere is so great and the team won the game, the majority of athletes say didn't even notice, was so locked in. So I don't know if Javi notices or not. He must, because he said in Chicago it really motivates him and makes him focus if he gets booed. But these are big-time athletes that have to be mentally tough to get to where they got to begin with. Javi Baez really beat all the odds. He won a World Series, he made the bigs, and he signed a massive contract where him and his kids and his grandkids and his great-grandkids will be set for life with all the money that he made, okay? He's got it pretty good. Now, he deserved the contract because he got it. You might argue because he stinks, but you get my gist. So if the worst that happens to him for not living up to the big money that he's making is that he gets booed, like, big deal. You should boo him. You should voice your displeasure. That's what good fans do. That's what good fan bases do. That's what great sports cities do. Boo him. You don't take bad play. If a guy's trying, then cool, whatever, but he's still getting paid millions. But if you get the vibe that the guy isn't trying, or you wonder if he truly is trying, and before you hit me with, well, how do you know, Rieger? How many times you're going to do the same damn thing? How many times are you going to swing at a pitch outside the zone and look foolish doing so? You cannot tell me that he can't fix that. You can't tell me. I don't think he cares enough. I think he's set. I think he made a whole lot of money. I'm not quite sure he cares about his legacy. And I think he's happy making a whole lot of money. And then he retires, and that's that. He won a World Series. He became rich beyond his wildest dreams. So, I don't quite know how motivated he is. And then add that to the fact that the Tigers starting shortstop, the man that makes the most in a Tigers uniform this year, has been benched twice. So you answer me this question because it's been stuck in my head. Is it bad form as a good fan to boo your own? Let me know. Comment section, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, before we get to comments, I want to get to the Wings very quickly. Big game tonight. They're going to take on the Capitals. The Capitals blow people. They really do. Do you know that the Capitals and the Flyers, who are chasing the Wings. At this point of this podcast, both those teams have lost a combined 13 games in a row. The Capitals are a minus 41 goal differential. The Philadelphia Flyers are a minus 23 goal differential, okay? The only legitimate competition in my mind right now is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Because I don't think Philly, they're done. John Tortorella has obviously lost that team. They've lost 7 straight, and they're in Montreal tonight. As for the Capitals, they've lost 6 straight, and they play the Red Wings tonight. They're a minus 41 goal differential. Wings have played better hockey of late. They've won 2 of their last 3 games, and they beat some pretty good teams. Like they beat Tampa Bay. They got a point from Florida. They lost a hard-fought contest to the Rangers, the best team in all of hockey right now. And then they just took out a Buffalo team that was not out of the playoffs when they played them, but now they're pretty much out of the playoffs. And a Buffalo team they had trouble with. I think the Wings are going to make the playoffs as long as they can beat the Penguins. So while people are going to say this is the biggest game of the season, I disagree. The next game is the biggest game of the season. Tonight they play the Capitals. They should beat the Capitals. Last time these two teams played, Capitals won in regulation in D.C. Capitals have lost 6 in a row. Wings should win this hockey game. Wings are the better team. Capitals are a joke. They're an absolute joke. Again, look at their goal differential. That's how I judge teams. They're a minus 41. Minus 41, they have no business being in the place that they are. Now, to be fair, it does seem like no team wants to win that 8th spot, that second wild card spot. But honestly, Wings should win tonight. And then it's Thursday's game. That's the big one. Because depending on what happens, depending on what the Penguins did against the Maple Leafs yesterday. Again, I'm recording this podcast early in the day, so I don't know the answer to that yet. But if the Penguins beat the Maple Leafs, then they're in the playoffs. If they didn't, then the Red Wings are still in the playoffs. But the Penguins have won 4 straight at the recording of this podcast. That's your main competition. Sidney Crosby is playing fantastic. People are talking about maybe him winning the Hart Trophy because he's played so well over the course of the last, literally, month. He's got 17 points in his last 8 games, 7 of which are goals. He's been playing out of his mind. So the real test for the Red Wings is Thursday. It's the Penguins in the Steel City. That, to me, is the real test. The other thing, too, by the way, is the Penguins have such a hard schedule. Moving forward, and again, yesterday they played the Maple Leafs. Thursday they played the Red Wings. Saturday they played the Bruins. Monday they played the Preds. And then they finish off their season against the Islanders in New York. So I don't think they're going to be able to keep winning because their level of competition is very tough. So I think there's a great chance for the Wings to make the playoffs. I do. A great chance. And if they don't, it's going to be a disaster. And Derek Lalonde probably is going to be fired, and we're all going to bitch and moan about it. So I'm curious what you think about that as well. That's a big game tonight against the Capitals, a big game. But the Capitals stink. You should win this hockey game easily. That's right. I said easily. You're playing better hockey of late. But it's Thursday. To me, that's the big one. Thursday is the big one against the Penguins, who, again, at the recording of this podcast, have won 4 in a row. And I don't know what they have done against Toronto. So there you go. That's going to do it for the Daily Ticket, people. You want to do some comments real quick? Let's do some comments from yesterday's podcast. Yesterday's podcast was all about the awful weekend in downtown Detroit where the Tigers dropped 2 of 3 to the awful A's, the Sacramento, Oakland homeless A's. Here we go. I bitched and moaned about the offense, as I've been doing for like 2 months now, it seems like. I was upset that the Tigers didn't do anything in the offseason to go get proven bats, and early on, they looked dreadful offensively. Scored 1 run against 2 lousy pitchers in 2 games. So here's what people are saying. At DeadFan68 says, Scott Harris knows best with a laughing, crying emoji. Yeah, I mean, listen, Harris has only been here less than 2 years. This is only his 2nd year. But so far, I'm not impressed. Sorry. At Erica-VD1GB says, they hit like shit still. It's a fair assessment. At Noah.Conley, I really wanted Matt Chapman or Jock Peterson. I know we have a lot of left-handed outfielders, but still, So do the D-backs who signed him. Yeah, listen, Jock Peterson, cool. My guy was Matt Chapman because he plays third base at a Gold Glove level. And despite the fact he's not hitting very well, he's got 9 RBI in 7 games at the recording of this podcast, at the time of the recording of this podcast. So, telling me that couldn't help just a little bit? I think it could. No Tiger has 9 RBI. None. So, anyway. That's going to do it for the Daily Ticket. I hope you all enjoyed the eclipse. Let me know what you did on the comment section. Let me know what you think of my plan. By the time you watch it, the eclipse, of course, will be done. But I hope to have had a great day with my daughter. And then also the Red Wings. They got to make the playoffs. Big game tonight against the Capitals for sure, but they got to make the fucking playoffs. They should. They really have played with our emotions. They've toyed with us. Now that they're back in a playoff spot, right now, when I'm recording this, they better make good on this thing. Go beat the Capitals, then go take care of business against Pittsburgh, and let's get to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. I mean, the dream is still alive, by the way. NFL draft in a couple weeks, Tigers playing on the same day, and the Red Wings playing a home playoff game. That would be outstanding. All right, guys, we'll catch you tomorrow on a hump day. I hope everybody has a great day and a great Tuesday. Bye-bye.